AJ Preller on Ben and Woods earlier this morning. And first off, I want to give props to Ben and Woods because I know there's some people that have in the past liked to criticize the media for not being hard enough on AJ Preller or not being hard enough on players or whatever in the media. But I think this interview, they asked pretty much everything that fans wanted them to ask about. They were hard on AJ Preller. It's not like they went in and, asked the generic questions about what's the problem with the team. Like, we all know what the problem is. They asked some tough questions. You think your job's on the line and all that. And they can't control what AJ says after they ask the question. They asked the question, and I thought there was a lot of deflection from AJ today. But that's kind of expected. Like, he's not going to say, yeah, I think I'm performing for my job here. He's going to express optimism in the club. And I think that there are a lot of fans that were disappointed in that he, when asked about player development and asked about the long-term contracts, he kept pointing to the past, kept pointing to the track records. But I realize that's what he's going to say. Of course, that's what he's going to say, because that's part of the reason why they signed them to those deals. And he did take responsibility at the beginning of the interview, saying like, yeah, I take responsibility for this. But then after that, it felt like it was more deflection, pointing to the NLCS run last year, right? Just a lot of stuff that happened in the past. And look, that's great to like that helps his resume. It's a part of his resume, but fans care about what's happening right now, because going into this year, we thought that this team was going to be a World Series team, a World Series caliber roster, and they're not playing like that. They're not anywhere near being a World Series contender right now. So we care about what's happening right now. We don't care about the track records of these guys right now. But he kept leaning on that. So I could see how some fans would be irritated with that. There was a lot of, again, reiteration, believing in the group. They're asking important questions about themselves on a daily basis. They expect things to change. AJ said, expects things to change going forward, eventually play into October. He also talked about, it seemed like to me, most of his attitude was that he doesn't think that they're going to sell. He did mention, like, if it gets to that point in July and things are, clear, like they're not going to be in contention, they'll be prepared to pivot if that were the case, to maybe sell off some players. But it felt like to me, it was a lot of still believe in this team, still, with the mindset of trying to add. And I guess right now on the radio, AJ is going to say that, like, yeah, I think that I believe in this team. He needs to keep the optimism up for some fans that are going to believe in that, right? And the players, I'm sure they will hear of this interview and they will see some of the quotes and some of the things that he said. And if they have someone that doesn't believe in them and we're a month away from the trade deadline, they're probably going to be pissed off about that. So I understand him expressing optimism, but does he truly believe that this team can turn it around and play amazing baseball the rest of the way? Play, whatever the winning percentage is, be over 20 games over 500 the rest of the way. He thinks that they can finish like that? Really? The way the baseball that he has seen? I mean, if he does, I think that's the wrong thing to do. I don't think that AJ should be, and I think a lot of Padre fans can agree, I don't think AJ should try to be a buyer at this deadline if the team continues to play like this. Like, it feels like it's pretty much over. I said yesterday I put their playoff odds at 15, 20%, and that's being generous. There's a lot of fans that would say 0. There's a lot of fans that would say like 5%. But there is still that chance. But I'm still saying, 80, 85%, whatever, they're not making the postseason. So, I feel like they're not going to make the postseason right now. And so the optimism, the optimistic, and all of the, I believe in this team. I think they'll turn it around. And there wasn't a whole lot. It didn't feel like his mind is like, I'm gonna be a seller. Again, he doesn't want to preach that to the fan base. I get it, but I think you got to be real here. He did take some responsibility, but I know fans are going to have that problem of him. Yeah, it felt like he was deflecting a lot the rest of the interview. I'm just reading from 97.3 The Fans Twitter because they did lay out a lot of what was said here. Again, AJ, believe in the team. They have a group that needs to perform better. Preller said his job is to ask the right questions of the players and staff to find ways to do things better. The first half hasn't gone the way the team wanted it to. The team needs to be ready to hit fastballs. They've seen some improvement in that area over the last month, but they discussed mechanics and body positioning with the hitting group to prepare for fastballs. Okay. Mechanics and body positioning. How about just be ready to hit the fastball? Like, I think it's one of those things, like, that's more on the players. I mean, it's a fastball. You've seen it your whole life. You've seen a lot of it in the big leagues. These are a lot of experienced players. It's not like there's rookies on this team that are seeing a 101 or 97 for the first time. When he was asked about if he was asked by Woodsy if he thinks that he's being played or he's playing for his job. He's not playing, obviously, but if he thinks his job's up in the air this season, like if things don't go well, he didn't answer that directly. And I wish that he would have said, he's not going to say like, yes, I think my job's up, or I'm playing for my job. Like, I think I'm going to be fired if things don't go well. He's not going to say that, but at least answer the question more directly. Like, you can at least spin it positively and say, I think the Padres were all on the same page and we're focused on this year, but he totally deflected on it. And literally said, when Woodsy asked him that, he was like, we're focused on Cincinnati tonight. That has nothing to do with what the question was. So it was a lot of deflecting. If things change, they will pivot from the playoff push mentality that they have, as I mentioned earlier. So it was a lot of deflecting and optimism, and it just felt like, at least from the fans, we probably wanted more. Yeah, tell us how you really feel. This is how you really feel. Like, your mindset is really to be a buyer, to try to push for a playoff spot with guys outside the roster, try to bring other guys in. That's not what this team deserves. The way that they've been playing, they don't deserve to have outside pieces come in and try to help them. Like, we got to see them be better first. We got to see the core players be better. Manny, we got to see him be better. We got to see Crony play better. Got to see Bogarts play better. We got to see those guys be better. For AJ, for Peter Seidler to sit there and say, they deserve to have some outside support come in, So I'm not surprised by what AJ said in his interview. He's someone that says a lot without saying very too much. But that's what you're supposed to do, really, as a GM, right? Talked about, I think Ben Higgins asked Preller about like the main guys, Bogarts and Manny and Crony, them not having the best starts to the season, and talking about, it's just 82 games. It's 162 for a reason, pretty much like, they'll turn it around. But that's not what fans want to hear, because you've had half the season. First quarter of the year, okay, they'll turn it around. But we're halfway through the season here, and it's not like things are looking like they're turning it around here. So I don't think fans should be surprised. Again, I don't think fans should be surprised by what AJ said here. Because of course he's going to say what he said, but it's still okay to be disappointed by what he said and thinking, maybe leave this interview thinking that, AJ might actually think that it's best to go buy and continue to try to push for something that doesn't look like it's attainable right now with this team, the way they're playing.